So you've poured your heart, your soul, and probably a good chunk of your budget into creating this absolutely stunning website, only to see it completely buried on like page 10 of Google. It is so frustrating, right? Well, here's the tough part. The problem might actually be baked right into that beautiful design of yours. Today, we're going to explore this idea that your design is your SEO, and more importantly, how you can fix it.
I mean, look, you feel like you've done everything right. The colors pop, the images are perfect, the copy is super sharp. But when it comes to getting that sweet, sweet search traffic, crickets, nothing. And you're just left scratching your head asking this exact question. The answer, though, it might actually surprise you. It really boils down to this. We have got to stop thinking of design and SEO as two totally separate jobs. They're not. Anymore, they are one and the same thing. You see, modern search engines, especially Google, they don't just read the text on your page. No, they evaluate the entire experience your website gives to a visitor. That means your design choices are sending direct signals to Google, telling them whether your site is any good and whether it's ranking at all.
Okay, so this is what we call the invisible website problem. And let's break down how this actually works. Imagine someone clicks on your site from Google, but they immediately hit the back button. Maybe it was confusing, or maybe it was just slow to load. Google sees that. It's called a bounce. And to Google, that's a huge red flag. It's a signal that your site didn't deliver. So your design is literally telling Google whether your site is worth showing to other people. And you want to know one of the biggest, baddest reasons people bounce? A slow loading website.
And that brings us to our first and maybe the most critical factor of all, speed. Let me be super clear here. This is not a nice to have. Page speed is a confirmed direct ranking factor for Google. If your site is slow, you are actively being punished in the search results, period. So what does fast even mean in Google's eyes? Is there a magic number? Yep, there is. Here's your target. You need to aim for your site's main visible content to load in under 2.5 seconds. That's it. Every single millisecond you go over that, you're not just losing a little bit of rank. You're losing actual, real-life customers.
And check this out. This really illustrates the real-world cost. A tiny 100 millisecond delay, that's literally the blink of an eye, can slash your conversion rates by 7%. That's a massive financial hit from a lag you can barely even notice. See? Speed isn't just some tech issue, it's a straight-up business issue.
Okay, so how do you actually get faster? Here are 3 really high-impact things you can do. First, go after the biggest bad guy, your images. Unoptimized images are huge files that just kill your load time. Aim to get every single one under 55 kilobytes. Second, there's a cool trick called lazy loading. This makes the site feel faster because it only loads pictures as you scroll down to them. It's a total game changer for that initial load time. And finally, you got to do some spring cleaning on your code. You know those pre-built themes? A lot of them are just bloated with features you'll never use, and all that extra weight is slowing you down.
Now, if you think speed is important on a desktop, it is absolutely vital on a phone. And this brings us to the next rule you just can't ignore, the mobile-first mandate. Google now uses something called mobile-first indexing, and what that means is pretty wild. Google literally does not care what your website looks like on a desktop computer. They look only at your mobile site to decide how to rank you for all devices. Yeah, you heard that right.
So why is Google so completely obsessed with mobile? Well, it's simple, really. It's because that's where we all are. Look at this. Nearly 60% of all website traffic around the globe now comes from a mobile device. If your site isn't built for mobile users, you're pretty much ignoring the majority of your audience. So, what exactly is Google looking for on mobile? It really all comes down to how easy it is for someone to use your site on that tiny screen. First, your design has to be responsive. That just means it automatically fits any screen without looking all broken and weird. Then, you've got to think about fat finger syndrome. Your buttons and links need to be big enough for a thumb to tap easily. No one wants to play that frustrating game of misclicks. Your text has to be big enough to read without having to pinch and zoom all the time. And of course, tying it all back, it has to load lightning fast, even if you're on a kind of spotty mobile connection.
You know, all of these things we're talking about, speed, being mobile-friendly, readability, they're all really just pieces of a much bigger puzzle. And that puzzle is called user experience, or UX for short. The easiest way to think about it is this: what's good for the user is now good for Google. They are truly two sides of the same coin. Let's get really practical here with some clear examples. On one side, you've got your ranking boosters. These are things that help your user out. A logical page structure, super clear menus, helpful links to other pages on your site. And on the other side, you've got the ranking killers. These are the things that drive users crazy. Those aggressive pop-ups that block the screen, confusing menus that feel like a maze, and tiny squint-inducing fonts. It's all about making the user's journey as smooth and painless as possible.
And look, if you need just one statistic to really hammer home the power of design, this is the one. 38%. Almost 4 out of 10 people will leave your website immediately just because they don't like the way it looks or feels. They won't even get a chance to see your amazing content or your awesome products. They're just gone. And guess what goes with them? Your potential Google ranking.
Okay, I get it. This can all start to sound a little overwhelming, especially if you're working with a small business budget. But here's the good news. You absolutely do not need to have a massive budget to fix this. You can make huge progress by just focusing on the fundamentals. So let's talk about the most effective, high-impact actions you can take like right now.
All right, here it is. This is your cheat sheet for the biggest bang for your buck wins. If you only have time to focus on a few things, focus on these. First, nail those technical fundamentals we just covered. Get your page speed up and make sure your site is mobile responsive. That's the foundation. Next, just focus on clarity. Is your navigation super simple and obvious? Is your text actually easy to read? And finally, this is a big one. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Stick with proven design patterns that people already know how to use. Because a confused user is a lost user, and you can bet Google knows that.
Now, let's talk about the money side of things, because this is where the business case just becomes crystal clear. Yeah, sure, building a website with SEO baked in from the start might cost you, say, 20 to 40% more upfront. But just look at the long-term payoff. We're talking a return on investment that's 3 to 5 times better. Why? Because you're not just building a pretty brochure, you're building an asset that generates its own traffic, its own leads, and its own sales day in and day out.
So, as we wrap this up, I really want to leave you with one simple question to ask yourself. I want you to go and take a hard, honest look at your website through this new lens we've talked about. And ask yourself, is this thing an engine for my growth, actively pushing my business forward? Or is its design secretly an anchor, holding me back from where I know I deserve to be? The choice and the opportunity to change it is all yours.